Good evening. Good evening. Let us begin very simply. You are not here to be blamed, nor to fix a broken self, nor to reconstruct a damaged soul. You are not broken. I will help you. Our work is not to add weight to your shoulders. Our work is to remove it. As a matter of fact, most of the distress that seems to fasten itself upon you has no origin in you at all. It is the pressure of a universal suggestion, an impersonal current that says there are two powers, God and something else, and the moment you bow to that whisper, the heart tightens, the breath shortens, and you begin to search for a cause in your past or a flaw in your nature. Do you see? Suppose we take this at once out of the realm of accusation and put it where it belongs. Scripture does not say, I and the devil are two, but I and the Father are one. Scripture does not counsel panic. It says, be still and know that I am God. If there is one, there cannot be two. Fear is the felt evidence of believing in two, of crediting a second power with law and life. And because that belief seems to float through human consciousness like weather, it appears to alight on you, but it is not you. The ancients called it the arm of flesh nothingness, parading as something. Do you follow that? When the enemy is depersonalized, you stop fighting yourself. The quarrel ends. You cease hunting your history for reasons and your temperament for faults. You turn and face the suggestion itself, not as a monster to be slain, but as a mist burned off by dawn. And if there is anything I would give you as a first assistance, it is this: I will help you. That is all the speech we require in the moment of crisis, because words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Presence heals. The realized oneness dissolves fear. Our practice, then, is not to marshal phrases as spears, but to stand in the quiet where one is. Fear thou not, for I am with thee, is the promise. The withness of God is not dialogue, it is realization. Now, do not mistake calm for passivity. This is sober work. If you are hoping for a sentimental lift, you may be disappointed. The proof of this is not in the tremor of a hymn, not in the vigor with which you repeat holy words, nor in how deeply you feel in an hour like this. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. If fear begins to lose its sting, if problems begin to yield more quickly, if harmony becomes less sporadic and more the atmosphere in which you move, then you are touching the center. If not, then it is no sin, but it is a signal we have more quiet to enter, more practice to accept. In that spirit, let tonight relieve you of the personal burden. You have not failed. You have been listening, as we all have, to a world voice that insists there is God and there is something else with parallel authority. But here again the Father's word at the Jordan, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Not will be, is that benediction does not await your reformation. It is an eternal fact. The sense of struggle arises only when we mistake the echo of hypnotism for the word, when we honor an appearance as if it possessed power. To see this even faintly is to feel the first warmth of freedom. It is the light that says, you are not broken, you are being awakened. So we will move gently, steadily. We will not make a show of words. We will cultivate that stillness where one is, and we will watch, not hope, watch for fruitage. And as we proceed, keep asking yourself, do you see? Do you follow that? Because the moment you do, even a little, you will find that the heavy self you are trying to fix has nothing to do with you at all. The self-blame dissolves with the myth of two powers, and in its place there stands a quiet poise. That poise is the threshold of healing. I will help you. Let us be exact now and name the thing that has masqueraded as your private defect. It is this: the belief in two powers. The forms seem many, spirit and matter, good and evil, God and chance, love and fear, destiny and accident, health and disease. Of course, all these pairs reduce to one root suggestion that there are two, one called God and one called something else with a little authority of its own. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Do you see? If there is one, there cannot be two. The moment we concede two, fear feels not only natural but prudent. It feels wise. You begin to live by negotiation, by defense, by watchfulness. If there are two powers, then of course you must read the signs, hedge your bets, carry charms of words in your pocket, and keep an eye on the weather of human events. But that is not spiritual living. That is merely survival in a dream. Why does fear feel reasonable? Because if you accept, even subconsciously, that there is a power opposed to God, then everything becomes conditional. Your supply depends on the stock market or a supervisor's mood. Your health depends on a microbe's itinerary or a gene's memory. Your peace depends on another's opinion or a nation's policy. In such a world, vigilance is the religion and worry is its prayer. Do you follow that? I am not scolding you. I am diagnosing the hypnosis. The master named it when he said, "Take no thought for your life." And again, which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? If taking thought cannot alter an inch, then where is the second power that warrants our sleeplessness? Understand this hypnotism correctly, or you will make a foe out of nothing and then fear it. Hypnotism is not a person. It is not a devil with intelligence. It is not a law. It is not a mind. It is a universal mesmeric atmosphere, the arm of flesh, nothing attempting to be something. It is a rumor without a reporter, an echo without a voice. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Nothing. When you personify it, you lend it your substance. When you depersonalize it, you find it never had substance to start with. Let me bring it down to the furniture of an ordinary day. You look at your checkbook and feel a catch in the chest. Names, change, rent, tuition, invoices, but the sensation is one. A second power called condition seems to hold sway. Or the doctor's report lands on the kitchen table and letters on a page begin to author your tomorrows. Or a friend grows silent and the mind industriously knits a sweater of rejection you wear all afternoon. Different costumes, one claim. There is a power besides God dictating your safety, your life, your worth. If you can see that sameness, you are already loosening the knot. Fear persists only as long as two is believed. When one is realized, fear cannot find an object. The first fruit of this recognition is relief, not because the bill paid itself in that instant, not because the report evaporated, not because the friend called back, but because you begin to stand in a universe where the premise is one. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That is not a moral code to keep God from being jealous. It is a statement of spiritual physics. One power leaves no room for rivals, no space for an opposite law to invade your affairs. If the heart trembles, it is not a sign of guilt. It is a signal that the old premise has slipped in two powers seeking your consent. Withdraw consent. Now mark this, because here we turn toward the remedy. If the error is the hypothesis of two, the remedy is not to strengthen the better of the two. It is not to pit human good against human evil. It is not to talk louder at appearances. It is to become exact about identity and presence, to live by two little words that carry the whole weight of truth, as and is. I and my Father are one, God appearing as individual being. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Harmony is, abundance is, life is. We are not yet unfolding those words in full, but I want you to feel the door swinging. When the mind tries to argue for two, smile inwardly and remember this is only the mesmeric weather, the arm of flesh. One power, one presence, one life, appearing as you, and all that God is now. Do you see? We are moving from the negotiation of fear into the realization of oneness. I will help you. Now let us be very simple and very exact. The infinite way is built around a few words. The first of these words is as. God is manifest as individual being, not God in you, not God plus you, but God appearing as you. Do you follow that? The invisible Father appears as the visible Son. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father, the Master said. And again, I and my Father are one. That is not a boast. That is the anatomy of identity. Humility is not to contradict the Master. Humility is to consent to be what God is being. When you look in the mirror and say, I, you are not counting two, an image and a separate self. You are acknowledging one identity appearing. So with God and you, the temptation is to suppose you are a private life trying to reach a distant deity for assistance. That is the two-power myth disguised as piety. The truth is this: the life you call I is God life individualizing, God light shining in a form recognizable to your neighbors. All that the Father hath is mine, said Jesus. And the Father's affirmation is still sounding, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Not after a reform program. Do you see? Carry this out of the clouds and into the street of your day. If God is appearing as you, where is the contest for worthiness? Where is the scramble to deserve protection or the bargain to buy supply? You do not petition life to keep you alive. Life is living as you. You do not plead with light to illumine the lamp. Light is the lamp as it shines. In practice, this means that before the bank account opens its mouth, before the body speaks in symptoms, before a face praises or condemns, you quietly return to identity. You begin where Jesus began. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Begin there. Do not climb to it. Begin. The broken self-narrative whispers, I am lacking. I must improve. I must accumulate holiness, and then perhaps God will notice. That is merely the old mesmerism, writing scripts and handing you costumes. Drop the script. Stand still and let identity announce itself. I and the Father are one. God is the substance, the law, the life, the love of this very I that says I. The personal sense will object. That sounds dangerous. That sounds proud. No, it is far more dangerous to deny God's own self-utterance. Pride is the belief in a self apart from God, either proud of its goodness or ashamed of its failures. Humility is to yield the entire stage to the one who is living as you. Now, what is the fruit of this? At first, relief, then a reordering of practice. You stop rehearsing defenses. You stop decorating an unworthy self with borrowed truths. You move about your day with a quiet sentence sounding beneath thought. God the invisible appears as Son the visible. If a fear knocks, you do not argue with it. You return to identity. If a need announces itself, you do not become a beggar. You bear witness to sonship. In this recognition, there is a certain poise, and with poise comes evidence, protection without armor, supply without chase, timing without strain. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know if you are consenting to as. If not, then sit again just long enough to let the personal I recede and the true I announce, I am that I am. Do you see how this prepares the way? If identity is God as, then reality is not postponed. We do not have to manufacture harmony. We have to recognize what already is our next word. But we come to is only on the foundation of as, otherwise you will try to affirm an is for a person God never made. Let us be faithful here. In the moment of any call, I will help you not with many words, for words are auxiliaries, but by standing in the one truth of identity until you feel the Father's voice within you saying, "Thou art ever with me." And from that place, we will discover together that harmony is. Now we take the next word and let it do its quiet work. Is. You are not here to force life into order. You are here to realize what already is true. Spiritual work is not creative in the human sense. It does not manufacture peace any more than arithmetic manufactures 4. 2 times 2 is 4, whether or not you announce it. If a child reports 3 or 5, we do not strain the universe into compliance. We calmly recognize what is. So, with peace, with health, with supply, with safety, peace is, health is, supply is, safety is. We are not busy creatures pushing reality uphill. We are witnesses consenting to what God already is and therefore what God appears as. Do you see the release in that? Be still and know that I am God. Not be frantic and become. Be still and know. The whole burden shifts from your shoulders to the I that already is before you were calculating outcomes. Before Abraham was, I am. The isness of God is not future. It does not await your readiness, your verbal skill, or the hour of the day. The kingdom of God is within you, not scheduled to arrive after a negotiation with conditions. Our task, then, is not to add the kingdom, but to uncover it by consent. This is why the other way feels so tired. The belief in 2 powers forces you into a posture of manufacture. You try to talk loud enough to silence fear, to repeat enough sentences to drown out the report, to will the body or the bank book into compliance. It is exhausting because it is impossible. You cannot improve God. You cannot persuade omnipresence to move closer. You cannot sweeten infinity. The strain is the proof of the error. If spiritual practice makes you tense, you have slipped into creating instead of witnessing. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? If taking thought cannot extend an inch, it cannot create harmony. It can only clutter the channel through which harmony appears. Let us be exact and simple. Harmony is, life is, love is, abundance is, omnipresence is, I am. Do you follow that? These are not affirmations aimed at a reluctant universe. They are acknowledgments of a fact that is indifferent to mood. As establishes identity, is establishes atmosphere. Once you concede that the one life is living as you stand in a field already blessed. The harvest is not produced by your staring at the soil. It is received by trusting the law already at work. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Ever thine. Those are is words. In practice, this looks like a quiet refusal to meddle. A sensation arises, a headline shouts, a ledger looks thin. The human impulse is to brace, to talk at it, to negotiate, but it says, no pushing, no bargaining, no rehearsed speech, return to presence, rest in what is, not in what seems. You are not trying to make the sea wet, you are standing still until you feel the wetness, and then you move as one already immersed. Words are only auxiliaries. Sometimes they are an interference. A single inner consent to does more than a page of declarations driven by fear. Now, I know the world of appearances is not shy. It will pitch its voice. It will lay its papers on your table and call them fact. It will dress itself in pain and urgency and say, I am the authority here. Recognize what is occurring. The volume is not power. It is suggestion. Hypnotism always needs noise, pageantry, timestamps, names to convince you there are two. Do not argue with the costumes. Do not clutch at the clock. Is has no clock. Is where God is, and God is where you are, as you are. Lo, I am with you alway is not a forecast. It is revelation. As you abide here, you will notice something practical. Outcomes begin to reorganize without your strain. Timing aligns. A word you did not plan appears on your lips at the right moment, or no word at all, and yet peace takes the room. A need is answered as right activity rather than as a spectacle. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will recognize whether you have rested in, is, or labored under two. If rest, then harmony shows itself as what it always was. If labor, then pause, lay down the hammer, let the fact be the fact. We will speak next of what to do when the shouting seems to fill the whole sky. For now, hold to this. You are not assigned to improve reality. You are ordained to witness it. Harmony is. Life is. Love is. Abundance is. Omnipresence is. I am. Stand there until the mist knows it is mist and dawn is seen as the only sky there ever was. Now let us look directly at the shouting, but let us look with clean eyes. Error in this work must be defined precisely, or you will arm a shadow and then fear it. Error is not a person. Error is not a condition. Error is not a law. Error is not a mind. It is suggestion, impersonal, hypnotic suggestion, claiming presence and power. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Do you see? An appearance may be loud. It may be painted with headlines and charts. It may carry credentials and dates, but its volume is not law. It is the arm of flesh, show, costume, nothingness, pretending to be something. Consider the old story from India. A man walking at dusk sees a snake coiled at his feet and terror grips him. He leaps back, heart racing, planning an escape that becomes more vivid with every thought. A lantern is brought. The snake has no fangs, no will, no venom. It is a rope. The man was not rescued by killing the serpent. He was rescued by light. Do you follow that? The rope was always a rope. The panic never altered the rope's nature. It only altered the man's breathing. So it is with this work. We are not here to slay serpents. We are here to turn on the light. Or hear this one. A woman wakes in the dark, certain a white poodle is perched in the chair by her bed. She whispers. She bargains with it. She is quite convinced. The light switch clicks. There is the truth. A crumpled towel. The dog never had to be chased from the room. It had never entered. An appearance argued. Reality did not change. Again, you have seen rails on a track seem to meet at the horizon. You may even be persuaded from a distance that they do. Walk there. They do not meet. Streetcar tracks that appear to converge are never married by sight. They are held apart by law. The misseeing is in the eye, not in the steel. Do you see how these illustrate hypnotism? Now, why must we insist on impersonalizing? Because the moment you attach a name to the claim, you lend it your substance. The instant you say, my fear, my disease, her cruelty, their malice, you have given hypnotism a body and a biography. Personalization is fuel, fear, fuel, shame, fuel, debate, fuel. It starts a long conversation with a towel in the dark. You rehearse, you defend, you blame. and in so doing you host the suggestion. Resist not evil, said the master. Do not resist a towel by arguing with a dog. Do not resist a rope by insulting a snake. Bring light. The light is impersonal. It does not flatter you, and it does not scold the claim. It reveals. Scripture gives you the language for this poise. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles. The arm of flesh is the label for nothingness pageantry without principle, threat without law. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Nothing. When you depersonalize, you align with that nothing in me. You withdraw every hook, guilt, pride, fear, on which the suggestion could hang its costume. You stop being its host. Let me be very practical. A report arrives. Before you read it a third time, drop the names, drop the dates, drop the one who seems to be to blame and the one who seems to be endangered. Stand a moment in the recognition that one is. God is appearing as individual being. Harmony is. Now, look again, not to fix it, but to let the light show rope as rope. If, as you do this, your body becomes quiet, your breath deepens, your mind ceases its arguments, that is your first fruitage. Do not make a show of it. Merely abide until the heat goes out of the picture. Often, you will find the picture subtly reorganizes, not because you battled, but because you refuse to feed the appearance with your personhood. And now a word of protection, because love demands it. In this stage, there is a temptation to throw words at people. Someone calls in pain, and we recite, "There are no accidents in divine mind," or "You are perfect," as if syllables could evict a dog that is really a towel. Do not do that. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Consciousness heals, not phrases. When a call for help comes, keep your speech to as little as possible. I will help you. Then retire inward and depersonalize. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Let light be light. In our next moments together, we will see why voicing truth at appearances hardens them, and how standing as consciousness dissolves them without a fight. For now, remember, error is not a thing to battle or a person to blame. It is a powerless suggestion that dissolves the instant you stop calling it yours and let the rope be revealed as rope. Do you see? Let us be very clear why words can become an interference. When a person is in pain and we begin to throw sentences, "There are no accidents in divine mind. You are perfect. Don't be afraid." We are doing two unhelpful things at once. First, we are arguing with an appearance. An argument tacitly grants the appearance an intelligence that must be persuaded. Second, we are contradicting the senses of the one who suffers, and contradiction hardens resistance. The personal sense hears us as saying, "Your experience is not happening," and then clutches it more tightly. Do you see? Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment does not talk at pictures. It stands still in presence. My conversation in crisis is usually limited to, "I will help you." That is not evasion. It is protection. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. If I talk at a storm, I have placed the storm on my level as a conversational partner. If instead I retire within and stand in as and is, I withdraw the oxygen from the suggestion. God is appearing as individual being. This one before me is not a private life in peril, but the Son in whom the Father is well pleased. Harmony is peace, is the fact, not the project. In that silence, the Master's instruction has room. Be still and know that I am God. Not be clever. Be still Do not mistake this for denying someone's feelings. We never deny feeling. We deny that the appearance has power, law, or identity. The ache is felt, the fear is felt. Compassion does not dispute sensation, but we decline to crown it. We refuse to grant it a name, a law, a mind, a cause, or a history. It is the arm of flesh pageantry without principle. We let the feeling be, while within we consent to one power. I and my Father are one. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. As that realization fills the inner room, feeling finds itself in a larger atmosphere and begins to quiet. This is not psychology, it is recognizing God as the only law of being. Now, the difference between letter and spirit must be faced or you will grow weary. To repeat beautiful phrases without realization can produce an emotional jag, a momentary lift that proves nothing in life. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. If, when fear spikes, your words multiply but the heat does not diminish, then you are still in the letter. No shame, just return to the quiet until presence announces itself. If the problems quickly and easily begin to yield outer arrangements, reform, the body softens, timing becomes exact, then there is no question. Spirit has borne witness to itself. Here is a simple practice for the instant of fear. First, pause. Do not reach for a sentence. Breathe once slowly. Second, drop the person and the condition. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. Third, return to identity and atmosphere. God is appearing as individual being. Harmony is, life is, love is, omnipresence is, I am. Let those not be phrases but acknowledgments, as obvious as 2 times 2 is 4. Fourth, be still and listen. Say nothing outwardly, but perhaps I will help you, and inwardly consent to one. Wait till you feel even a slight easing, shoulders lower, breath lengthens, mind stops arguing. That is first fruitage. From there, if action is required, it will be given gently, without strain. I could tell you of midnight calls. There has been an accident, and how the mind rushed to assemble words. I kept silence. I will help you. Then I withdrew into as and is. Within minutes, the inner weather cleared. Later, we found the outer picture had reordered with no heroics. That is not my doing. That is the absence of two. Do you follow that? Healing is not achieved by talking at appearances. It is achieved by abiding in the realization of oneness. And in our next step, we will make this even more immediate. The instant pivot. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. Now let us make this immediate. The call comes, or the thought spikes, or the body shouts. In that very instant, give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. Do you see? This is not indifference. It is obedience to a higher law. If you enter the story, you become an actor in a drama written by the belief in two powers. If instead you refuse the role and retire into as and is, you withdraw the only fuel the suggestion has your consent. Here is the inner move, step by step. First, recognize suggestion. Name it for what it is. Hypnotism, the arm of flesh. Say within, this is not a person and not a condition with law. This is a claim of two powers. Nothing asking to be something. Second, impersonalize it. Remove every hook, my, your, their. No biography, no blame, no history. Just, this is suggestion. Third, return to as God is appearing as individual being right here, right now, as the I that says I. He that hath seen me hath seen the Father, not because I am personal brilliance, but because there is one appearing. Fourth, rest in is. Harmony is. life is, love is, omnipresence is, I am. Be still and know that I am God. Do not push. Consent. The internal language is simple and true. This is not my fear. It is a claim of two powers. There is only God. I and the Father are one. Harmony is. Keep it that clean. Do you follow that? Do not decorate it with explanations. Do not argue with time, tissue, money, or memory. Argument presumes an equal on the other side. Resist not evil is the method here, not passivity, but refusal to grant evil the dignity of reality. The Master did not say, court evil or collaborate with it. He said, resist not evil, because resistance is a rope you tied to the illusion and then exhaust yourself pulling. Drop the rope, turn on the light. Let me show you how this feels in an ordinary moment. The phone rings. It looks bad. The old habit is to gasp, to ask for details, to mount the horse of phrases. Instead, I say only, I will help you. And within, I make the pivot. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. This is suggestion, not person. God is appearing as individual being. Harmony is, I sit still long enough to feel the first fruitage, the breath lengthens, the pulse steadies, the interior room clears. Then, if a word is given, it comes without strain. If an action is required, it is simple, exact, and free of panic. Often, the outer picture reforms without heroics. That is not personal power. That is the absence of two. Notice what we are doing and what we are not doing. We are not denying that sensation is presenting itself. We are denying it a throne. We are not pushing feelings away. We are refusing to crown them as law. We are not improving reality. We are witnessing what already is. Take no thought for your life is not a slogan. It is a doorway to the present kingdom. When you refuse to think about persons and conditions as powers, you discover the presence that never left. Lo, I am with you always. Begin to use this instant pivot in the three arenas where the suggestion most frequently seeks a host. When the chest tightens and the mind spins, anxiety say, this is not my temperament. It is a two-power rumor. There is one God as I. Pieces. When the ledger looks thin, lack say, this is not an economy of chance. It is a suggestion that conditions are law. There is one, God as I. Abundance is appearing as right activity. When a face opposes you, conflict say, this is not a difficult person. It is a claim of separation trying to provoke a fight. There is one, God as us. Love is freedom begins precisely there, at the refusal to personalize the claim and the return to the realization of one power. Use it on contact. Do not ask first whether you feel ready. Do not wait for a quiet room. The instant pivot is itself the quiet room, carried within you. Wherever the noise begins, stand there and let fear discover it has no host. Let us take anxiety by the hand and look at it without flinching, but also without flattery. When the chest tightens, when breath shortens, when thoughts begin to multiply like shadows at sundown, do not call that me. Do you see? The body's noise is not authority. It is the body interpreting a suggestion through the belief in two powers. The personal sense rushes to crown it. My panic, my disorder, my history. Stop there. That my is the hook on which hypnotism hangs its costume. It is the arm of flesh show without substance. We are not denying sensation. We are denying it a throne. The pulse may be fast. The palms may be damp. Let them be. What is it in you that would panic about a pulse? The belief in two powers. Anxiety is not your temperament. It is a rumor seeking a host. It claims there are powers, chemical, personal, environmental, arranged against you. If you grant that premise, you will search for safety by thinking faster, by scanning symptoms, by predicting futures. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Taking thought cannot add, and it cannot secure. It can only feed the rumor. Here is the practice. When anxiety rises, pause. Do not fetch a paragraph. Ask within, what power is this claiming? Answer cleanly, no power, only suggestion. Then return to as and is. God is appearing as individual being, as this I that says I. I and the Father are one. Peace is not as a project, but as a fact. Be still and know that I am God. Not be clever, be still. Sit long enough to feel first fruitage. 1 deeper breath, shoulders lower. The mind ceases racing to the end of the street. That easing is not a psychological trick. It is the evidence that you withdrew consent from 2 and stood in 1. Now let identity speak over the noise. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Let that be heard within you as addressed to this very I. Not later now, not after reform now. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. If the old habit objects, but these symptoms are real, answer without argument. The rope is rope, though dusk says snake. The towel is towel, though night says dog. The rails are parallel, though distance says they meet. Righteous judgment is not a debate with dusk. It is a light turned on. Do you follow that? Do not make diagnoses your identity. Names do not confer law. Labels can help the human scene organize itself. But in this work, we refuse to bow to a label as a power. We do not fight symptoms. We withdraw their fuel, our fear, our ownership, our history. Resist not evil. Do not tug at the rope of panic. Drop it. The Master's way is not resistance, but presence. Lo, I am with you always. In presence, sensation is met by a larger atmosphere and finds itself without authority. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. Fear is cast out by love's fact, not by argument. Watch for fruitage, because fruitage is your safeguard against self-deception. If this practice is genuine, you will notice practical changes. Decisions become simple where they were tangled. Sleep returns without strategies. The body obeys a calmer rhythm. Timings, phone calls, appointments, simple duties fall into place without strain. If not, be gentle and begin again. Do not construct sentences, construct silence. Stand in 1. Let love be the climate, not the project. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. And let this be your quick inner sentence when the wave swells. What power is this claiming? None. Only suggestion. God as I. Peace is. Sit still until even a small measure of quiet appears, and then move from that quiet, not toward it. You will discover that what seemed to be your fear was only the 2-power belief seeking room to perform. Deny it the room, and it cannot dance. We shall find that this same suggestion puts on a different costume and calls itself lack of money, of time, of opportunity. The method does not change. 1 power, God as harmony is. And supply reveals itself as right activity, not as chase. But first, let today's lesson settle. Anxiety is not you. It is a rumor without law. Withdraw consent, and the rumor falls silent. Now let us look at lack with the same clean eyes. Lack is not a condition with law. It is the 2-power claim changing costumes. God is good, but the market is stronger. God is present, but time is short. God is love, but opportunity is scarce. That belief breeds hoarding, strain, and fear of tomorrow. It tightens the hand and narrows the gaze. Do you see? When you consent to a second power called economy, schedule, or chance, you step into famine not because God has diminished, but because consent has turned your face from what is. Return to is. Abundance is. Supply is. Life is. Law is. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Fullness is not created by worry. It is recognized, and then it appears as wisdom, opportunity, and right timing. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? If taking thought cannot add an inch, it cannot add a loaf. Thought cannot mince supply. Spirit reveals it. The Master did not instruct us to engineer the lilies. He said, "Consider the lilies, they toil not, neither do they spin. Consider not, manipulate. Behold the law that is already functioning, and then rest in it." Here is a daily, grounded practice. At meals, before the first bite, do not thank the ingredients as if they brought themselves. Quietly know, all that the Father hath is mine, not as a demand, but as recognition ever, and is. At the paying of bills, do not argue with numbers. Pause and know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not shall not want next month, shall not want now. Let your breath settle. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop the anxiety, drop the calendar. Stand in the fact that abundance is, and watch what follows. A clear idea, an unexpected adjustment, a wise no, a simple yes. Add decisions when you feel the squeeze. Turn within and hear, "Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine." Ever and thine, these are supply words. Then wait not long, just until the inner weather clears, and act from that stillness. Let us make as visible here, or you will be tempted to look for supply as events falling from the sky. God appears as. Supply appears as you, your capacity, integrity, skill, and service, without self-glorification. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Right activity is supply in motion. It may appear as a competence honed, as a conversation that opens a door, as a willingness to complete what is before you with excellence. It may appear as pruning an assignment release so the right one can arrive. It never appears as scramble. It never requires deceit or strain. It wears the quiet of is. Do you follow that? Supply is not spectacle. It is law unfolding as present usefulness. Be exact. Lack announces itself with future tense when, if, after. Supply arrives only in the present now. Take, therefore, no thought for the morrow. No thought does not mean no planning. It means no fear planning. When you stand in one, the plan shows itself as the next right activity, and it comes with the means to perform it. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know the month that once ended in dread ends in a simple balance. The call you feared becomes a friendship. The idea you postponed ripens and is met with welcome. Not magic order, not luck law. Protect yourself from a common error. Do not voice truth at your bank book. Do not rehearse abundant sentences at the ledger as if the numbers could be debated into kindness. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Stand in consciousness until you feel the quiet fact of one. Then, if an action is given, make this call, complete that course, share this skill, decline that offer. It will come without strain and will carry provision with it. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. Need, not want. Riches and glory, not in anxiety. In glory means in the radiance of realized oneness. I have seen households transformed by this simple fidelity. A table becomes a sacrament rather than a scoreboard. A business becomes a ministry rather than a chase. Savings becomes stewardship instead of a shrine to fear. Fruitage shows itself in quiet sufficiency and in opportunities that fit your feet. If this is not your present experience, do not scold yourself. Return to is. Practice at each point of contact meals, bills, decisions, until the atmosphere changes. When the atmosphere changes, the scene rearranges. And remember, the same suggestion that calls itself lack will try another costume and call itself conflict. Two minds, two wills, two sides. The method does not change. One power, God as harmony is. In our next breath together, we will look there and you will see how when you refuse the belief in two persons cease to be adversaries and Christ's identity becomes visible. For now, let this settle. Lack is the belief that conditions have power. Supply is the realization that abundance already is and appears as right activity. Prove me now herewith if I will not open you the windows of heaven. Stand still long enough to hear those windows open, and then move only as that fresh air leads. Now the same suggestion puts on a louder costume and calls itself conflict, two minds, two wills, two sides. Immediately the personal sense begins its theater. A villain, a victim, a story. You rehearse your lines, they rehearse theirs. You gather witnesses, they gather evidence. Fear and defensiveness become reasonable. Do you see how quickly hypnotism personalizes itself? The belief in two powers must have two persons to act out its script. If you consent, you will be drawn into debate, and debate is only the rope you tie to the illusion. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, says the apostle, and that is our first mercy. Not against persons, never against persons. Against what then? Principalities, powers, which in this work we call suggestion. Unmask it there, and its stage collapses. What is the middle path? It is not siding with human good against human evil. It is unseeing both as final reality. Praise and blame, charm and rudeness, these are costumes. Look back of the eye to behold the Christ identity. Thou seest me, thou seest the Father, not as personal superiority, but as the truth of being. God is appearing as individual being, as this one and that one. When you behold that, the scene softens because you have ceased to feed it with your personhood. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment refuses to crown a costume as law. Now, a practical inner stance, right in the heat of conversation. As words rise and tones sharpen, withdraw consent from the two-power frame, silently refuse the proposition, their will versus my will, consent only to one. Within yourself acknowledge, one presence is governing, one mind is speaking, one life is living itself as us. Not my will, but thine be done. That is not resignation. It is alignment. As you stand in that, notice the breath, let it lengthen. Keep the face gentle. Let the eyes rest without challenge. Speak only as you are given. And when you do, let it be simple and true. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Soft does not mean weak. It means unarmed. If the other pours out grievance, your outward words can be few. I will help you. By that I mean, I will not join the mesmerism. I will not argue with a towel in the dark. I will stand with truth. Inwardly, hold to as and is. God is appearing as individual being. This one before me is not a private mind colliding with mine, but the Son in whom the Father is well pleased. Harmony as peace is the fact, not the project. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Peacemakers are not phrase makers. They are presence bearers. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Your silence filled with one is stronger than your speech filled with two. Practice this middle path in 3 movements. First, depersonalize. This is not a difficult person. It is a suggestion of separation asking me to host it. Second, behold, Christ is the identity here. Christ is all and in all. Do you follow that? Not the person made nice, the Christ recognized. Third, abide. Harmony is, love is, omnipresence is, I am. Let that be as obvious to you as 2 times 2 is 4. Then, if a sentence is given, it will come without heat and without the hidden wish to win. Agree with thine adversary quickly, not by validating untruth, but by agreeing quickly with one presence. There is nothing to defend in God. Defense disappears when there is no second power to threaten. Do not fear that this will make you a doormat. Love is law. Love is form. When you stand in one, you may find yourself saying yes with clarity or no with the same clarity, but without sting, without bruise. The issue will often dissolve before positions do, because presence removes the oxygen from the quarrel. I have watched meetings that promised thunder end and a quiet plan. Faces that were stone become human again. Hands unclench. Not magic order. Not will is. And do not take my word for any of it. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know whether you have beheld the Christ or merely imagined it. The sign is not a speech about unity. It is unity felt and enacted, an email rewritten in kindness, a negotiation closing without residue, a home atmosphere that no longer bristles at small things. If this is not occurring, we do not scold, we return to is. In our next breath together, we must set a clear test, or we will drift into an emotional jag. Truth validates itself and results tangible harmony, quickly and quietly. Let us look to that, so that your peace is not a sentiment, but a fact proved. Let us set that clear test now, or we will drift into a pleasant theory and call it truth. By their fruits ye shall know them, not by their phrases, not by their intensity, not by their sincerity, by their fruits. Do you see? By your life experience, by the fruitage. If realization is present, the burden of living lightens. Problems are more quickly and more quietly solved. Strain gives way to order. Timing becomes exact without anxiety. The body ceases shouting for attention because fear has been drained at its root, the belief in 2 powers. Make it simple and honest. If, as you practice as and is, you notice these markers, you are not fooling yourself. Calmer first reactions. The instant pivot comes almost before you think to use it. Decisions clarify without a council of worries. Reconciliations occur where stalemates were. Supply opens as right activity without chase. The body is less frightened even while the circumstance still unfolds. Sleep returns. There is a felt atmosphere of safety that does not depend on weather, headlines, or balances. That is fruitage. It is not spectacle. It is harmony. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Peace and gentleness are not performances. They are evidences of one. Now, a warning given in love. An emotional high is not realization. A burst of affirmations, a vivid meditation, tears and tingles, these can be an emotional jag. If, after these displays, you find that the old reaction sees you at first contact, that conflicts still pull you into positions, that money still commands your mood, that sleep still flees and the calendar still tyrannizes, be grateful for the honesty of the test. It means you have more practicing and less performing to do. Do you follow that? There is no shame in it. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Condemnation is only another costume of the two-power belief. Drop it. Begin again. Measure gently but exactly. Ask at day's end, did I grant a second power today? Where did I personalize the suggestion and argue? Where did I depersonalize it and rest in one? Where did I feel first fruitage, one deep breath, a softened word, a door opening of itself? If the answers are thin, do not force results. Return to practice. Prime the pump. Consciously know, morning, noon, and night, God is appearing as individual being. I and the Father are one. Harmony is, life is, love is, omnipresence is, I am. Not to persuade God, but to remind sense. Words are only auxiliaries. If they begin to heat, stop, be still, and know. Wait until the atmosphere shifts. Then move. Humility will speed you more than fervor. Admit it if you have been talking to pictures. Admit it if you sought comfort instead of God. Then, without drama, re-enter the inner room and consent to one. The Master did not promise emotional fireworks. He promised presence. Lo, I am with you always. Presence verifies itself by fruitage doors that need opening. Open doors that need closing close. The right word comes without bruise. The body obeys peace. Supply appears as useful work well done. Homes take on the quiet of trust. This is our transition to the deeper way. You begin with the letter clean, simple acknowledgments that align you with truth. That is priming the pump. But do not live forever at the pump. Let the inner shift occur where your declarations grow fewer and your listening grows fuller. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Soon you will find the center of your practice is receptivity. The truth will be declared within you. Ideas will be given you. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Then fruitage becomes regular, not episodic, quiet, not dramatic. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord. Prove not by emotion, but by harmony. And if the proof is not yet steady, do not be discouraged, be devoted. Return to, as abide in is, by your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. Now let us make this way a way of life. We speak of two stages, not as ranks to boast of, but as movements of one devotion. First, the letter conscious knowing. You prime the pump. You bring the mind into agreement with what is true. God is appearing as individual being. I and the Father are one. Harmony is, life is, love is, omnipresence is. I am. You do not say these to persuade God, but to remind sense. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. The letter is right when it is clean and brief, not heated and long. In time, the pump flows and you discover the second stage, the spirit. The activity shifts from you declaring to you receiving. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. The truth begins to be declared within you without your scripting it. You find yourself knowing rather than telling. This is the listening ear. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Not I forcing right ideas, Christ forming them in me. Do you see? The same truths, one presence, one power, now rise of their own accord, and with them comes the atmosphere of is. Here is a simple daily rhythm to make this reliable. On waking, before the first thought of plan or phone, be still for 1 minute. Consciously know God is appearing as individual being, this very I. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Then say no more. Let the quiet expand. At meals, before the first bite, pause. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. abundance is. Let gratitude be recognition, not request. Before money decisions, stop. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Drop it. No, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, and wait until even a small measure of inward order appears. Then act from that order, not toward it. Before sleep, return again briefly to as and is. Be still and know that I am God. Seal the day with one. Between these set moments, practice micro-turnings. The phone rings within. I will help you, which means I will not step into to. A worry sentence starts, interrupt it with a breath, and stand a heartbeat in is at a doorway as you grasp the handle. Acknowledge omnipresence is and enter as one presence, not as a personal force. Do you follow that? Little fidelities, many times a day. This is not a lazy man's work. It is gentle, steady devotion. No strain, no heroics, quiet exactness. Now, the inward posture that makes the letter yield to spirit. You are not begging God to fix life. You are not sending thoughts at a problem. You are resting. You are consenting. You are letting the Christ declare truth in you. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The lamp is within. Your office is to keep the inner room clear of noise so the lamp can shine. If, as you sit, words start to heat, stop them, return to silence. Let a line of scripture float up if it will, but do not grab it. Wait until the atmosphere shifts, the breath deepens, the shoulders lower, the mind ceases reaching. That shift is the sign that the letter is yielding and spirit is present. Discipline will be required, but not harshness. If you miss a practice hour, begin at the next one. If you find yourself talking to pictures, admit it and grow quiet. If you feel empty, do not manufacture thunder. Prime the pump with 2 or 3 clean acknowledgments, then listen. The aim is regular fruitage order without drama, peace without display. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace becomes the climate in which decisions clarify, bodies obey, supply appears as right activity, and relationships lay down their weapons. And always beneath letter and spirit alike, the single point that dissolves fear. There are not 2 powers. The belief in 2 powers is hypnotism, the arm of flesh, the rope mistaken for snake. When in practice you return to one presence, one power, one life appearing as you withdraw, the only fuel fear has. Stand there, abide there, let the listening ear keep you there. Then you will find that what you sought to create was already given, and what you feared to face has no law. One is, and in that is, you rest. Good evening, and let us finish quietly, exactly, with what has been before us the whole way. You are not broken. Your distresses have never been proof against you. They have been the noise of a universal suggestion seeking a host, the belief in 2 powers. Do you see? When you granted that suggestion, reality, fear, lack, and conflict seemed to gain footing. When you withdrew consent and returned to the 2 simple words that form the spine of this way as and is the ground steadied, God appearing as individual being, harmony is, life is, love is, omnipresence is, I am. We have not been trying to fix a universe. We have been recognizing the one that already is and allowing that one to be seen as you. So here is your clean instruction for the week. Simple enough to keep and strong enough to free. Every time fear speaks, whether through body, balance, calendar, or conversation, do not take the bait. Ask, what power is this claiming? Answer, none. Only suggestion, the arm of flesh, the snake in the rope. Then drop it. Give not a thought to the person or the condition, drop it. Turn without delay to one presence, one power, one life appearing as. Stand there, abide there. Even if only for a breath, stand there until the atmosphere shifts, until the shoulders lower and the mind ceases reaching. That breath is fruitage. Do you follow that? It is the first proof that the fuel of two has been withdrawn and the fact of one has been honored. Do not argue with shadows. Do not rehearse speeches to the dark. Words are only auxiliaries. Words sometimes are an interference. Rest in the realization of God as you, I and my Father are one. Rest in the simple radiance of His. Be still and know that I am God. Let the Master's assurance sound under your feet. Fear not, for I am with thee. And again, lo, I am with you alway. In that with fear has no throne. In that one presence. Conditions lose their law. Perfect love casteth out fear, not by debate, but by being what it is. Let love be what it is. Now prove this, not in theory, but by life. Watch the small, practical harmonies and let them educate you. The breath returns before the mind solves. A word that would have bruised softens in the mouth. The meeting that promised thunder ends in a plan. A bill that looked like a wall finds its door. The body, met by a larger atmosphere, obeys peace. A night that knew how to worry forgets how. By your life experience, by the fruitage, you will know. If a day goes by and the old reactions still command, do not scold. Begin again. Prime the pump with 2 or 3 clean acknowledgments, God appearing as harmony is, and then be still. Wait until the weather within is clear enough to see your next step. Then take only that step. Hold to your little fidelities. Many times a day, in doorways and at phones, at meals and at money, interrupt the rumor with one. Omnipresence is return to as and is without drama and without delay. This is not a lazy man's work. It is gentle, steady devotion. No strain, no heroics. Quiet exactness. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand not as a statue, but as a consciousness that refuses a second power its stage. Be steadfast, unmovable, not in stubbornness, but in oneness. And as you do, you will discover the exact promise that has been ours from the first word. As the belief in 2 powers dissolves, fear loses its foundation and evaporates of itself. What remains is what has always been order, sufficiency, peace, usefulness, God being God as you. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine, ever thine. Let those words be the climate in which you live and move and have your being. I will help you. By that I mean I will stand with you in consciousness, without speech, without argument, in the light of one. When fear barks, we will not pet it. We will not fight it. We will outlive it in presence. Let this week be your proving ground of simple faithfulness. Identify suggestion. Drop it. Return to one. Abide until the air clears, and move only from that clearing. You are not broken. God is appearing as harmony is. Thank you.